Doing a little late night card pull here as I'm listening to some, I guess it's supposed to be some groovy tunes. I don't recognize this song in the background. It's from an old TV show called The Old Grey Whistle Test, where they would have like bands come on late at night and stuff. Anyway, starting off here, getting a few cards. Manifest. Okay, we just had a new moon. So, what are you manifesting, or what do you want to manifest? Okay. Give. Okay, so talking about giving to others. So maybe you're manifesting giving more. Like maybe increasing your abundance so that you can, you know what I mean? You feel like, oh, I wish I could give to everybody, but you know what I mean? Like if you did that, you wouldn't have anything left to feed yourself. So, and literally the next card was received. So, you know what I mean? You can't give without you being in receipt as well. So just keep that in mind. Like, don't just start going out giving, 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 where it's, thinking there's not going to be a limit to it. You know what I mean? Because you will end up having to get pulled back if you don't make sure you're in that receive mode as well. Resolution, it says here. So somebody getting a resolution to some kind of issue here. And listen. Okay, so you might be being asked to listen to your guides. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull from the next deck here. And then we'll get into the tarot. Okay. So weird watching some of these. I mean, when you're growing up, you don't necessarily know everything about some of these performers and what their personal lives were like and stuff. And it's not to take away from their art, but at the same time, it's like we're all humans, so it's interesting study of human life. Anyway, this dude that's on in particular, I believe he was kind of like polygamist, for lack of a better term, where he had like multiple wives or something, or he believed in having multiple wives, like. And it's just like, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really down for that myself. And I've been watching some Bourbon Bougie videos lately, and she usually has some pretty good stories on there about how that often goes wrong in relationships. So whatever you're manifesting. And I remember giving that kind of advice to somebody once, and because they were like, oh, well, they were doing this and they were doing that. And I just said to them, I said, well, is that the kind of relationship that you want? Because if that's what you're doing, then that's what you're going to manifest. You know what I mean? So anyway, feminine energy, it says. So maybe you need to manifest from your feminine energy. It says here gentleness, nurturing, and mothering. Or maybe you're trying to manifest a feminine energy coming into your life. Chaos, upheaval, disaster, downfall. So you might be prompted to give during a season of chaos. Maybe somebody might come to you and says, hey, this happened. We're in chaos right now. Again, just be cognizant of your own budget, right? Blocked. It says moved on, nothing to stay, stop calling. So that is on this receive card. So, this might be one of those things where somebody tries hitting you up like just a little bit too frequently, and you're like, look, I gotta lay the boundary line down here. So you may have blocked this person. You might, the next time you talk to them, you'd be like, oh, well, I already gave to that organization, so I have nothing else to say about it. And you might even tell these people, like, you can take me off your call list. Like, I'll call, there's that old song, don't call us, we will call you. Okay? Don't call us, dun, 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 we'll call you. Okay? Where it's like, if I need you, I'm sure I can look you up in the yellow pages or whatever phone directory that's going to be in existence. You know what I mean? Ooh, lust. Greed by any means necessary and considerate. Ooh. So there could be resolution over a situation involving lust. Maybe somebody displayed that towards you and you found it to be a turnoff. Okay. And I'm saying this too because I literally just watched a video about Japan and like how more adults there, or even younger, they don't socialize as much in person. Like, we talk about this, in our own countries, but it's happening um other places as well. And there's various reasons for that, okay? But at the same time, they were saying, like, okay, but, that's just, when you go from hanging out with your peers, right? Like, on average, maybe 12 hours a week, it said, and then went down to like 5 hours on average. So, your opportunity to be social, has a cap, right? But that doesn't mean that the passion is not there. And in places such as Japan, the video was talking about. This was a video on YouTube. I might link it. I don't know. I don't know if it's made with AI or not. I just happened to watch it, so I was trying to figure that out before I went sharing it. Anyway, um, they have other things there as well, like the prostitution and just the markets for it, kind of like, their own like red light district essentially, right? Okay. And they even have, like, rental girlfriends, boyfriends, things like that. And one of the things that the video was saying is, despite these things, despite measures that the government even put in to try and incentivize people to like hook up together, none of that has really turned people away from choosing kind of this different path. Um, so whatever this resolution is collective, I have a feeling it's around a romantic situation for some of you, okay? Smell the roses. It says slow down, take some you time, get out in nature. Okay, so that's could be what your guides are telling you to do here with this listen card. So you should definitely do that. It says here on the bottom, family. It says blood ties and inner circles. So definitely if you are dealing with family, and especially if it is one of those things where you've given before and then, like then they're hitting you up again and you're just like, look, you know, we might be related by blood, but that doesn't mean that you get to take out of my pocket whenever you feel like it, as if you're in the inner circle. You know what I mean? And even then, like, everybody knows you're not supposed to steal money out of somebody else's purse. You're not supposed to, you know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to ask before taking, or borrowing or whatever it is. So, yeah. All right, we're gonna look here at the tarot. Okay. So this could be involving somebody collective that's been dishonest with money for some reason as well. Okay. Especially when this give and receive and the receive card, they're holding out coins, and this has the blocked card as well. So, and with the lust thing, like this could really be like an old partner. Wow. El Diablo on the bottom of the deck. Yeah. It's like, look who shows up just in the nick of time, right? You know, and they're like, oh, don't close that door just yet. And you're like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? You're collective, you may have already been, manifesting new relationships, new experiences, new everything, by the time this person's coming around. Page of Pentacles, yeah. So they could want you to take a chance on them, but what you're taking a chance on is yourself and, potentially like-minded individuals that want to manifest the kind of things that you do. And that does take some investment, right? And what did this person invest in you? Unfortunately, not what you wanted, right? That's why we're in this, yeah, look at this 7 of Swords with this chaos here. So this could be somebody that's trying to say, like literally trying to say that they're in chaos, even if they're not, right? Think like fake GoFundMes, fundraisers where it's like, oh, where did that money go? Things of that nature. And it's like, give, but, to give from a place of positivity, maybe, make sure that they're a registered organization, or just say, you know what, I'll do it through, maybe I'll go and give it to this church, and then you can go sign up at this church for their services. You know what I mean? Something like that, where it's verified and you don't have to be stuck in the middle in this chaos, right? Because I feel like that's what somebody's trying to do. 10 of Pentacles. Yeah, they could be after that. So, collective, you're in the process of receiving this 10 of Pentacles. You're busy. And that's partly why you might have, or have a need to block some of this energy. Because you're just like, look, I'm trying to work on this over here. And you don't owe anybody that explanation. I mean, that's what most people are shooting for. It's just the manner in which they go about it. Right? Like, let's face the facts. A lot of us have the same goals, but, all those karmic people out there are like, I'm going to take this shortcut and I'm going to snake them and I'm going to do this and that. And it's like, yeah, you're blocking that. So you don't have anything to say. I mean, this could even be a situation where somebody knows you have some kind of association, especially if it is your blood or something like that, and you're like, look, blood doesn't mean we're friends. And in fact, they're blocked. I haven't talked to them in years. You know what I mean? Kind of where it's like, so collective, you're not letting anything stand in the way of this 10 of Pentacles, I guess is what the message I'm getting here. Emperor card. Wow. Okay. So this resolution could have been with an Emperor, or maybe you're the one in Emperor energy, and it's like, look, whatever this lustful situation was, and it says under here, greed. So this is one of those things where maybe somebody was cheating on somebody, maybe somebody was using somebody for monetary reasons, but then they were sleeping with somebody else, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And I feel like it's just more like you're going to find out the truth type deal about what this person was really about. Okay. And some people lust after like a certain kind of lifestyle. Like they have this idyllic view of, oh, well, if I have this money behind me, this abundance that I can tap into, then I'm never going to have a problem again. Not realizing they are the problem. What's that song? When she says, I'm the problem, it's me. So it's like, did they not hear that? You know what I mean? Apparently they've been living under a rock of their own grandeur, you know? So again, you're being asked to listen, to smell the roses, you know, don't be getting caught up in their chaos. Yeah, world card. You've moved on into this new chapter. Fool on the bottom. So and as well, like whoever this is, they could be like, "Oh, well, we're family." They think they can like fool you. They think they can like, "Oh yeah, I'll go do that for you, boss." Like, give me a break. You know, like and it could be one of those things where you just, you know, where you might just have to shake your head and then you turn around and you throw it in the trash bin. You know what I mean? Like it ain't happening. You have your own fish to fry, collective, and I feel like you're already on that journey, this fool's journey, where other people would be like, "Oh, well, but that's your family," and it's like, you know what? I don't have the time nor energy to explain it to you. I already done moved on. That's the thing too, collective. So many people think that you owe them some kind of explanation, and it's like, you know what? When I was sitting right in front of your face, you never dared ask me about it, so who's to care now? Wasn't that your blood? Don't you know that aren't they part of your inner circle? It's like, when's the last time you saw me with them? Never? Wake the F up. Wake the F up. You know what I mean? Some folks, they just don't make any sense. You know, it's like they're not using their brain at all. You know, and yet they're out here functioning, walking around. Hmm. You know, go watch an episode of Dateline. Go watch 48 Hours. Usually the truth is actually not that complicated. You know what I mean? And it's like these people want to make up these stories and stuff, and it's like, what? What are you even talking about? You know? Anyway. Um, Eight of Wands. Okay, so you could be moving quickly forward, manifesting, you know, this new opportunity, especially if it is, you know, regarding your feminine energy or tapping into somebody that has feminine energy. Okay, again, Emperor on the bottom. Keep going here. There's some interesting costumes these folks are wearing. They look like little mummies. Three of Pentacles. Okay. So again, the giving, somebody could want to work with you. But you know, beware with this Three of Pentacles energy, you know, how it's like, oh yeah, I know so and so in the collective, like they're great at doing this, blah blah, and then they're come to you with this story, some high pressure thing, and it's like, you know, and then they want to pay you like not till, you know, 6 months from now, and it's like, I don't think this is the best idea. You know what I mean? And the thing is, collective, which I had to learn at some point in time, you know, people will pretend that they're on the same level as you as long as it suits them, sure. You know, but then come to find out. So, you know, it's like, not saying be closed-minded to people, not saying be closed-hearted, but at the same time, in order to receive that Ten of Pentacles, you have to protect what you're giving as well. Four of Wands, yeah. With Ten of Pentacles, yeah. Ultimate dream. You know? You're like, yeah, take me away into the fairy wonderland of my Ten of Pentacles, where I get to wear a different fairy costume every single day of the week. You know, whatever whatever it is. You know, maybe you don't have kids of your own. Maybe you are the fairy godmother. You know what I mean? In the situation. Right? And you're like, I'm trying to make this magic happen. I can't be bothered with somebody else's chaos that is not even trying. You know what I mean? Like they wanted you to build up by yourself here, is what I'm getting with this Three of Pentacles and the Seven of Swords. Okay. Whereas here with the Ten of Pentacles, you're receiving what the universe actually wants you to receive, and it's turning out. Judgment card here. Yeah, so this resolution, this could even come through a legal. I just heard subpoena. Anyway, however it comes out, I feel like the, legal system's going to be involved. And then this person's going to be saying, oh, well, this lust after this, lifestyle or whatever I thought I wanted wasn't really worth it, right? Then they'll be crying the blues, but, that's just the judgment they're going to have to live with, right? And it's like, these people were okay with wanting to fish it out of your pocket, so it's like, but they can't live with the judgment? Again, Empress on the bottom of the deck. There's a lot of big energy here. Okay, High Priestess. So, yeah, collective, whether you're an Empress or an Emperor or whatever, or whether you have this Ten of Pentacles currently or you're going after it with the Four of Wands, thinking of this ultimate happiness, you have this High Priestess card here, King of Swords on the bottom of the deck, very much about the business, in terms of what's going to work and what's not, and not going to get over emotional, right? You're not going to be taken for a ride in this whoever's chaos. And again, with this High Priestess, it's like, when we do things and then we have that nagging feeling like, oh, I don't know if I should have done that. Okay, you're going to start listening to that more. All right, whereas maybe before, you were able to get into this chaos and somebody was citing, oh, well, we're family and blah blah blah. Okay, well, King of Swords might write up a contract for you. Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, and be very logical in the approach. Yeah, I know we're family and everything, but, market rates are different than what they are now, so let's make up a new contract. Maybe it's like a new lease agreement or something, whereas before they were getting a deal, and then it's like, oh, so now they're going to be, they're having to face that judgment of they're getting their demand. They're getting their new contract, but they might not like how it looks, right? So that's kind of the thing where, yeah, you're going to see a resolution to however that situation. And I mean, obviously, I think you can do the math yourself now, right? Because not everybody's going to be happy with that kind of decision, right? But collective, you're not necessarily here to make everybody else happy. You're here to make you happy, and the people that that, are in your inner circle that you choose, maybe those blood ties, people are like, oh, blood's thicker than water. It's like, dude, it, it's like, what are those shows when it's like, they have the business partner for 20 years and they're coming over for family dinners and stuff like that. It's like, are those people not family as well? Right? So I feel like whoever this is overestimated their importance, right, in your life, okay? Whereas what the message is saying currently is that, yes, you are entitled to this abundance. Yes, you are entitled to this happiness. Yes, you are entitled to give how you would like to receive. It's not how the receiver wants you to give. Okay, and maybe they said a little prayer and God heard, and now you're getting the message on how to do that. So that's part of the listen. It's part of, saying, okay, well, when I'm closing those old chapters that, don't need any more review, right? What and this High Priestess here, it almost looks like there are cards in front of her, but it almost looks like money. You know what I mean? The way that it's laid out and the shape. Okay. So You might be encouraged to find new ways to make money as well, and you might get some of these ideas when you are, kind of stopping and smelling the roses, and taking some you time, blah blah. Maybe it's one of those things where you're like, oh, this would be nice, and then maybe you start googling and you can't find anybody doing that, and you're like, man, maybe I need to start that business. Whatever it is. Okay, that's the mindset that you're in, not this, chasing around energy that whoever this chaos person wants you to be in, right? And they also want you to be buying their story. Yeah, this is some kind of like weird cover up thing. They want you to like co sign off on it or something, by helping them rebuild, almost like, how some of these Hollywood types, they go through their rough patches and they get a new publicist and they're like, okay, you're going to get a younger wife and then you're going to start a family and then everyone's going to love the new you. It's like this weird thing where they think you're going to do that for them. And again, collective, you'd be like, well, King of Swords would be like, I already have my own responsibilities. I can't take on yours as well. You're grown, you go figure it out. And perhaps have had ample opportunity, right? So, okay. All right. Yeah, so kind of interesting, especially, you got the Ten of Pentacles, Four of Wands here, the Emperor card, and the High Priestess. So in a lot of that Emperor energy came out earlier as well, but that doesn't mean that you can't take the new chances here with the Fool card, but you're not going to be foolish about it, right? And again, one of those things where, some people have a rule where they're like, oh, I never work with family, or I don't borrow money from my friends, or you know what I mean, like however that is, because of how it could affect the relationship, right? And that's your choice. Yeah. So, collective, once you make that decision, however it lays out, don't be afraid to stand by it. Don't be afraid to have somebody be like, oh, well, why aren't they doing for me? You know what I mean? Number one, it's probably none of their business to begin with, right? And it's like, if they, if this is somebody that you actually know or whatever, you might have to tell them, like, maybe you need to go to the bank and talk to the bank about getting a loan. Whatever it is, because it's like, what did you think was going to happen? So I think that's part of it here, collective, is that whoever this is saw that you took some chances where they went after this like lustful stuff and was maybe too greedy about what was going on. And instead, any kind of family tie they did have, you know what I mean? It's like they already ruined their shot at that by acting shady in the first place. Okay, so this is where I think you're being asked kind of to listen to your gut and to go ahead and manifest the things that you want to bring you happiness, and, not focus so much on, the things that maybe they did in the past, or maybe that they're even currently doing. Not saying that you're not going to get your revenge or your comeuppance. I'm just saying that, continuing to focus on that in some way is like a bottomless pit. And that's kind of what they want, is they just want you to continue to pour into them and pour into them with this energy, right? And like, oh well, there has to be a reason why they. Well, yeah, because they wanted the money. There has to be a reason. Well, yeah, because they're greedy. You know what I mean? Some people, that's as deep as it goes. You know, so again, going back to some of those datelines, 48 hours, it's like sitting there watching that, and pretty much right away, within the first 5-10 minutes, it's just okay. Now we got to sit here and listen to how these people thought they were going to get away with it, and the audacity of them thinking they were going to get away with it. Like, they think prison is hell? Oh, honey, you got, like, people in touch with spirituality, that shit's a motherfucking vacation. You know? But, you can only be crossed so many times, collective, and then, some of that is out of your control. It's the universe that's like, this tilt-a-wheel is a little off kilter. I think we're gonna have to fix it at the next stop. And then the scales get balanced. So that might be something you're thinking about manifesting. A more balanced life. And oftentimes that means, balance away from certain people or situations, right? So that you can focus on what you do want, So yeah, the judge, the judgment is in. I think there was a car called the Judge. Anyway, I don't believe they make that anymore. However, so, and that could be for somebody. Maybe you're going to go to like a car show or something, collective. I don't know. You know what I mean? Stuff of that nature. Um, just part of getting out and enjoying nature, right? Like, for some people, nature is going camping and the bugs and everything, right? And for other people, nature is like stepping outside and seeing like a wasp and being like, ew, so, different levels for everybody, but, there are things that you can do where you don't have to feel cooped in or cramped in, or even, if you look at, what was that TV show, Parks and Recreation, the local park, district or whatever it's called in your area, like, do they have community activities that are in, public spaces where it's like, you don't have to worry about, oh, well, so and so that I know goes here, and I don't want it to be awkward, and you know what I mean? It's like, just cut yourself the slack of having to deal with any of that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, they can either act right, or, they will choose not to, right? But, so, for some of you, collective, that might be, something, and especially if it is somebody, who wants to kind of guilt you at all, I definitely wouldn't, like, meet them. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't be meeting them at some off-site location where nobody knows where you're going or anything like that, okay? Because, people have done that on these, TV shows, and then they end up getting jumped. And, the outcome is not good. You know what I mean? So, and you could be like, look, I don't even have anything to give. That doesn't matter to some of these people. That's how twisted their mind is. It doesn't matter to them. So, anyway. Yeah, that kind of came out a little heavier than I thought today, but, You know, if you keep your eyes on the prize there, Collective, with that Ten of Pentacles and that Four of Wands, it is going to manifest for you, just as the very first card I pulled out was manifest, okay? So, and we just had a new moon, all right? So, you know, maybe you're somebody who wants to be at the car show one day. Like, maybe you're going to manifest a show car or something, right? You know, maybe you're rebuilding a car in your garage right now, or your, you know, whatever, your buddy's house or whatever it is. Okay. So, alrighty. That is all I have for you guys. This late reading. I think we have some storms moving through the area, so I think that's why I got some energetic push to come online and do this reading for you this evening. Remember, please do like the video, as you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video, and it costs you literally nothing. Just as this reading is 100% free. I will never ask you for anything on YouTube. I do have a donation link for those interested, which that's easily findable in my About Me section. But this is the you know, main place where I do readings and post readings. Very, very rarely will you ever find it on any other platform, and if so, it will be linked to this profile. Okay, so, you know, not saying there's a whole bunch of people out there trying to be me, but you know what I'm saying, just as a heads up. Okay, it's like this is the internet. There's a lot of people out there that want to use anonymity to scam people, right? And that's just not cool. Okay, so you know what I mean? Like, I say the only way that you pay is with your time and whether or not you subscribe to YouTube, so then if you can see things ad free or not, which I personally have a subscription so I can see things ad free, but also then you get all like the movies on YouTube, and they have tons of old movies, which I love because I don't have regular cable anymore. I used to watch a lot of Turner Classic Movies. Anyway, so now I can actually find some of those movies on YouTube that are actually like uploaded from, you know, whatever, like YouTube has an agreement or whatever, you know, so kind of saves me some rental fees. Anyway, I guess that's my plug for the app, you know what I mean, since we're here and all. But, you know, Collective, you know, anybody that's interested in YouTube in general, you know, you have the ability to go start your own channel for, you know, no cost. So, the fact that, you know, there's ads on the platform doesn't perturb me that much because, you know, it's a free hosting site, essentially, right? So, anyway. And I feel like if more people were grateful for things like that, you know, we would be making more progress in humanity in general. But, you know, that's why we got to say our prayers and get our shut eye and eat our veggies, right? All right, you guys. Oh my goodness. Until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.